freedom, wandering in search of that perfect spot. You've made your own path through these hills, tasted the fresh water of our lakes, our rivers. You've been on the water with friends at sunrise and helped the locals long past sunset. But you just keep coming back. At this spot, you got a pretty good idea what's lurking beneath the surface. But there's only one way to find out. Whether it's the one you write home about or the one that gets away, that feeling is what gets you hooked. That whether it's your first time or your 100th time, you never know what you're gonna catch until it's caught. Call of the Wild, the Angler. What is it about your hobby that keeps you coming all the way out here? Is it the freedom, wandering in search of that perfect spot? You've made your own path through these hills, tasted the fresh water of our lakes, our rivers. You've been on the water with friends at sunrise and helped the locals long past sunset. But you just keep coming back. At this spot, you got a pretty good idea what's lurking beneath the surface. But there's only one way to find out. Whether it's the one you write home about or the one that gets away, that feeling is what gets you hooked. That whether it's your first time or your 100th time, you never know what you're gonna catch until it's caught. Call of the Wild, the Angler. What is it about your hobby that keeps you coming all the way out here? Is it the freedom, wandering in search of that perfect spot? You've made your own path through these hills, tasted the fresh water of our lakes, our rivers. You've been on the water with friends at sunrise and helped the locals long past sunset. But you just keep coming back. At this spot, you got a pretty good idea what's lurking beneath the surface. But there's only one way to find out. Whether it's the one you write home about or the one that gets away, that feeling is what gets you hooked. That whether it's your first time or your 100th time, you never know what you're gonna catch until it's caught. Call of the Wild, the Angler. What is it about your hobby that keeps you coming all the way out here? Is it the freedom? Wandering in search of that perfect spot. You've made your own path through these hills. Tasted the fresh water of our lakes, our rivers. You've been on the water with friends at sunrise and helped the locals long past sunset. But you just keep coming back. At this spot, you got a pretty good idea what's lurking beneath the surface. But there's only one way to find out. Whether it's the one you write home about or the one that gets away, that feeling is what gets you hooked. That whether it's your first time or your 100th time, you never know what you're gonna catch until it's caught. Call of the Wild, the Angler. What is it about your hobby that keeps you coming all the way out here? Is it the freedom? Wandering in search of that perfect spot. You've made your own path through these hills. Tasted the fresh water of our lakes, our rivers. You've been on the water with friends at sunrise and helped the locals long past sunset. But you just keep coming back. At this spot, you got a pretty good idea what's lurking beneath the surface. But there's only one way to find out. Whether it's the one you write home about or the one that gets away, that feeling is what gets you hooked. That whether it's your first time or your 100th time, you never know what you're gonna catch until it's caught. Call of the Wild, the Angler. What is it about your hobby that keeps you coming all the way out here? Is it the freedom? Wandering in search of that perfect spot. You've made your own path through these hills. Tasted the fresh water of our lakes, our rivers. You've been on.
Ladies and gentlemen, how are we all doing today? Super hyped, I hope. It's an absolute honor and a privilege to be here today, and I am joined by an absolute legend of a man. We were talking about it before. He's produced 13 games now, so he's very, very experienced. Rushy, the game designer of Call of the Wild, the Angler. Welcome into the stream, buddy.
Thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and it's just a great relief and also super excited to be able to announce the Angler and also talk about it now, finally.
Yeah, it's I was joking with the Call of the Wild crowd yesterday, and because I always really purposely said if we were ever to develop a fishing game, we'd probably make a standalone game, because it's not as simple as putting fish in a lake in Leighton Lakes, for instance. And I think people never really took that as seriously as the words were meant. So it's very, very cool.
Game development was that easy, right?
Yeah, that's right. Just put some digital fish in there; they'll work themselves out, right? So yeah. So today, the point of the stream, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm sure you have an absolute truck ton of questions for us. We have a list of questions that we've been pulling out from the social networks and stuff. So we're going to work through those and answer them for you. And then if we've got a little bit of time towards the end of it, we'll try and take some other questions. Maybe there's some other stuff that we haven't looked into at all. So yeah, first off, I guess we should lay some facts out. It is a we are the developers and the publishers for this, the same as Call of the Wild for us. So it's a new self-published title from Expansive Worlds. So there we go. And Rushy, I guess like the main question everybody wants to know is, what kind of game is the Angler going to be?
Well, it's the easy one, right? It's a fishing game.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, it's an open world fishing game, and it's been designed around for players to explore a vast and varied, beauty of nature, ride the open waters, team up with friends, and hopefully enjoy a truly immersive fishing experience. Something that I don't think you will have played anywhere else.
That is awesome, man. It's really, really good. And I mean, probably the second most burning question is, when is it coming out?
Well, I can't give an exact date, but I will say it is coming, of course, later this year to PC via Steam, the Microsoft Store, and Epic Games. And we will have consoles to follow, of course. And don't forget, you can, of course, wishlist the game right now on Steam and Epic.
Yeah, definitely get in there. It's been the response so far has been phenomenal. So keep it going. Thanks for the support. And then I guess like something else I've seen is a lot of questions about like what mechanics will be included in the game, Rushy. So like what can people expect on launch?
Yeah, so we're going to have two distinct fishing techniques available to use in the open world from day one. So we'll have both bait fishing with floats and then bait spin casting for freshwater angling. So you'll have plenty of options available to you.
Yeah, sweet. That sounds good. And can you give us a little bit of an idea? Because this has probably been one of the top questions: is how many fish species are there going to be on at launch?
Can't talk about all the different fish species that we're going to have in the game just yet, but I'm happy to share that you'll be able to catch a variety of trophy fish like largemouth bass and the mountain whitefish. And if you want to jump onto Steam, you might actually see a sneak peek of a couple of other fish that we haven't talked about yet. But obviously in the coming weeks and months, we'll let you know every fish that's going to feature in the game.
Yeah, awesome. There's a good selection. That's all I'm going to say. And while you're over on the Steam page, what are you going to do, Rushy?
Going to wish list.
That's the one. I mean, this is another one. Like, is there? We are entering a quite a highly populated genre. There's a lot of other fishing games out there. What is going to set the Angler apart from the other fishing games, Rushy?
Well, I think there's a couple of things which help set us apart. Well, and first, I think is our atmospheric open world, which you're going to be able to traverse either on foot, or you can jump on the water and use a boat, or use an off-road vehicle as well to drive around. So it's very easy to kind of get around and find that perfect fishing spot. And next, I think, is just the sheer beauty of the nature, that visual splendor, I think, that we've been able to kind of recreate inside the game. So I think, being inside our reserve, you're just going to, love spending time there. And then our fish species, I think they're going to stand out because we've been spending a lot of time and effort to make sure that they each have their own unique traits and behaviors, and of course different size and weights, of course. Which will lead to, I think, what will be quite an immersive and engaging fishing experience. And then I think, finally, my favorite element is the freedom. It truly is up to you how you want to approach this game, with either the gear you use or where you go to find the best fishing spots in the open world.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, looking at the trailer, the beauty is just something. Oh, I think it's the industry setting, really. Like people think Call of the Wild is pretty. This is a much newer game, so you guys are going to love it. It's fantastic. So obviously you've done you've produced quite a few games now. What is some of the challenges that you've faced here with the Angler?
As you mentioned at the beginning of the stream, game dev isn't as simple as just adding fish to an existing game. So there's been plenty of uphill struggles, but that's with any game in game dev. So I think one of the first things that was challenging was making sure that the fishing mechanics felt authentic, trying to make them feel tactile and engaging. So like the rod play feels good when you're interacting with the fish, because we really want to make sure it's a fun and ultimately a believable experience as well. And to do that, we had to do so much research. We were talking to fishing experts, getting what practical hands-on time we could do during a worldwide pandemic, which was never easy. Because fishing, as I'm sure everyone on the stream knows, is that it's very in-depth and often complex pastime. So many intricacies and details, which we've really tried to capture. And then, of course, we wanted to replicate that fish behavior, and that's been a tough challenge. Trying to make sure that each one feels unique as you battle them. And then probably the biggest task was actually working out how to populate a massive open world with fish. We had to create an entirely new fish ecosystem, essentially that would then spawn the fish appropriately relative to depth, temperature, altitude, and more to create that living, breathing ecosystem.
Yeah, I can't say too much. It's a very, very awesome system they got set up. So, what are the plans for future content? Can you give us any kind of hints around that, Rushy?
Well, as you know, the stock responsive, we're focusing on delivering a great experience at launch, and we're polishing, tuning, and iterating right now. But that said, Call of Wild the Angler is a live service game, and that's something we're going to build and expand upon. And I think the important point here is that we're going to be collaborating closely with you, the community, over time. So I'm sure there's going to be some Hunter Call of the Wild fans here in the chat as well. And as you've seen on that great game, there's been so much content, so many new features added, and you can expect, no less here. And it's important to note as well that whilst we're already looking to what comes next as we start to polish the game now for release, the future will ultimately be defined by you guys when you get your hands on it. We're really eager to hear what you want. What changes, what updates, what features, what content you want to see. So when you pick up the game, be sure to get in the various social channels and let us know.
Yeah, awesome. That is fantastic. And how big exactly how big are these open worlds, Rushy? Like, how big is the map in the Angler?
Well, I guess we should probably introduce our reserve.
Yes.
It's called Golden Ridge Reserve, and it's going to be based in North America, and it's going to be 64 kilometers squared, just like Hunter Call of the Wild maps are. And we've crafted a playable area of 24 kilometers squared inside there. And in there, you're going to have a vast network of interconnected waterways where you'll be able to explore and fish in, which is also accompanied by, obviously, the beautiful vistas, varied biomes, and many points of interest to discover as well.
Yeah, that is awesome. And the next one, I think, is just really important for us to touch on. We have a track record of supporting our games for years. I mean, Classic's going, I think it's 14 years now. What is Call of the Wild at? 4 or 5 years? How long are we planning to support the Angler? I'm guessing, with our track record, it's pretty similar.
Oh, just the same. Yeah, our plan is to support the game in the long term. We're committed to continually improving the game in close collaboration with the community, and I think it's exciting just to think about that journey ahead and where it's going to take us, and what the game's going to be like in years to come.
Yeah, no, I think I think it's awesome, and it's nice that a company has that track record of such long support to games. It's always a good investment for players. So yeah, and now this one is I think is awesome because fishing is such a social thing, right? You want to share the good times with your buddies and stuff. Does the Angler have multiplayer in it?
Absolutely, it does have multiplayer, and to that point of fishing is a social experience, and that's what we wanted to try and recreate. So we've got support for up to 12 players in a seamless online multiplayer cooperative environment. And by default, when you jump into the reserve, you're going to be matched into a world with others. You can, of course, join up with friends directly. And if you don't want the multiplayer experience, that's fine. You can absolutely play solo on your own. But when you are in multiplayer, though, you can have those opportunities, those chance encounters with others, seeing other people fish, and see what they're catching. And you'll be able to share vehicles to go on fishing adventures together. And I think it's going to be quite a unique social experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'd also like to point out as well that the multiplayer does support crossplay as well. So irrespective of whether you're on Steam, Windows, or Epic, you're going to all be able to play together.
Awesome, that is fantastic. And I kind of touched on it before, but obviously I didn't want to spoil this question. The game is so beautiful, Rushy. Which engine is this done on? Because like it's oh geez, 20-30% prettier than Call of the Wild, I just have to say.
Yeah, we're using the latest version of the Avalanche Studios Group proprietary Apex open world engine. So compared to the Hunter Call of the Wild, hopefully, as you pointed out, you'll immediately notice the improvements to the visual fidelity. When you get to play it, you'll hear that audio landscape, the responsiveness of the UI system, and then behind the scenes, we've improved all the tools and the pipelines so that we can deliver, that kind of rapid, high-quality content post-release as well. So yeah, it's great to be able to work in such an awesome engine.
Yeah, cool. And we were talking about company track records, and we've always had like very high standards for trying to maintain hunting ethics in the digital world. What sort of ethics do we have any ethics in the angler? Like, can you explain to people what they can expect in terms of that?
Yeah, this was something that when I joined Expansive Worlds, it was kind of communicated straight away. We need to be one with nature in many ways. So we have to share the passion for the outdoors, and we have to act responsibly and sustainably, whether that's in-game or even when we're doing our research. So, the angler itself that operates a catch and release policy. So the fish, even though they're digital, they'll still always return safely to the water. We've even got the warden of Golden Ridge Reserve, who will impart many words of wisdom about nature and conservation. And if you choose to do so, you can even help the warden manage invasive plant species inside the world as well.
That is cool, very cool. And real life hunting, fishing brands, I should say, are there going to be any in the game on launch?
So at launch, we'll have a good selection of fictional brands created for rods, reels, apparel, vehicles, and more. However, we are very keen to investigate the possibility of adding real world brands to the game in the long term. So what I'd like to know is from the community, what brands do you want to see first? Let us know and we'll see what we can do.
Cool. I'm just going to double back one question because I see this popping up plenty of times. But yes, it is going to be released on consoles as well, but that's going to be later in the year. Is that correct, Rushy, or is that after?
Absolutely right.
Yeah, okay.
It's PC first and then consoles down the line. We don't have a date to tell you just yet, but hopefully not too long afterwards.
There we go. I see lots of Abu Garcia and there's some Repeller in there too. Just people are throwing out their favourite fishing brands there. So there we go. We'll probably end up putting a survey out or something like that, I guess, to capture people's wants and needs there. So Call of the Wild, classic. They've always had missions and challenges and stuff. Can we expect to see this in the Angler as well?
You absolutely can, but it will be a little bit different to maybe what you're familiar with if you have played those games. So we're going to have a range of missions and challenges. We'll have Sophia, who's a Golden Ridge Reserve shopkeeper, and she'll have a series of missions that you can go on, which are all non-linear in their progression, entirely optional. And then we have Clayton, who's the Golden Ridge Reserve warden. He's got a series of favors that he needs you to do whilst out on your travels, which again, entirely optional, completely non-linear. So you can basically choose if and how you want to engage with those missions in between your fishing.
Awesome, that's cool. And there are, in Call of the Wild we have your non-trophies right up to diamonds and stuff. Like, how will that be? How is that reflected in the angler too? How will somebody know if they've caught a big fish or not?
We've got a ranking system for our fish, absolutely. So the top tier of which is diamond ranked fish. They're going to be the rarest in the reserve and often the hardest to catch. You're going to really need to scour the reserve to find where they spawn and have the right gear to catch them, and then fight hard to land the catch. So best of luck trying to get them.
Cool, that is awesome. So the fish will spawn in all different sizes within the species, i.e. the biggest one's making diamond, like you just said. You mentioned to me yesterday, actually, that there is a brand new system that controls the spawning behavior of the fish. Can you touch on that briefly?
Yeah, this was really important for us to get right. So we've got a unique system which controls all the spawning behaviors of the fish, which utilizes a really good range of environmental conditions within the open world, such as water temperature, time of day, altitude, and more to determine where and when the fish will be active in the world. So the populations of the fish are entirely dynamic and reactive to the environment. So you're going to need to factor that in as you go in search of the best fishing spots.
Awesome. So just to kind of add on to that, what I'm getting at is if you understand fishing in real life, you can probably apply those same things to the game if you come in. Is that right?
Yeah, and if anything, if you know, as a experienced angler, you're going to have a huge leg up, really, in terms of everyone else. You'll pretty much know by looking at the map and understanding where the specific type of fish will spawn. So, yeah, hopefully it all matches up with the real life experiences that you had.
That is cool. I'm sure there's going to be people scouring the map as the first thing they do to try and work out where to head, their favourite fish. So that's cool. Does the release of Call of the Wild the Angler mean less resources for Call of the Wild? I know there's been a little bit of murmur about that, so good to address that one.
No, I mean that's the first thing. No, it hasn't affected the hunter at all. The angler has largely been developed by a brand new team, and it hasn't impacted the development of the hunter. That game continues to grow, and it's extremely important to Expansive Worlds and Avalanche Studios Group. So, no resources taken away there. And additionally, as the teams are all part of Expansive Worlds, we've really been able to share knowledge and experience with each other, and hopefully that's going to create a better fishing experience with the support.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Now, this one is a personal one to me that I got added in basically. Multiplayer and everything like that, right? Everybody needs to look unique, I think, in terms of customization. So what can we do in the Angler?
Well, you've got a full range of customization tools, which is great. So you're going to be able to visit the shopkeeper, browse a broad selection of apparel and gear. You're going to be able to purchase everything from boots to wellies, gloves to sunglasses, shorts, t-shirts, jackets, hats, and more, all to kind of customize your character and look unique. We'll try and reserve some special ones for you, Matt, right?
Yeah, yes, please.
and then gear-wise, we'll have everything from spinning, bait casting, match rods, a selection of reels, lines, lures, hooks, baits, floats, and more that you're going to be able to tailor your tackle to catch those diamond rank fish.
Yeah, that is cool. That is very cool. So I guess that's kind of the end of our questions. I'm very excited about the customizable stuff. Okay, so it's going to be fantastic. And I always try and get the most unique, weird looking thing possible, even if it doesn't make any sense. So always stick out like a sore thumb in real life, so might as well do it digitally as well, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to take a few questions from you guys now, okay? But one that I have seen popped up a lot is I think we did touch on it earlier, but will players be able to display their trophies? That seems to be a very common question that keeps popping up.
We don't have let's say a specific trophy lodge or a place to put your best catches. But what we do have is that when you catch the fish, we've got some nice reward poses where you'll be holding the fish, you'll be able to hide all the hood, take some snapshots, and every single fish that you catch, of course, is recorded in your journal as well. So it's something that, if the community feedback is something you want to see, you want to be able to keep your trophies and put them in something like a lodge, like in the Hunter, maybe that's something we can look at in the future. But there'll be ample ways for you to be able to capture a good screenshot, though.
Yeah, awesome. That's cool. I think it's yeah, I quite like that actually. It's I think most serious fishermen, unless you want them for food, end up releasing your fish anyway, unless it's
exactly
a really crazy big one or something. So it's quite nice, and as long as you have a record there, I think it's pretty awesome. So let me have a look. What other questions have we got going on here? Man, this chat is moving so fast. How many people can fit in one boat, Paul?
4.
4?
Yeah, I think, and that's the same for the 4x4 vehicle we've got as well. So yeah, four players will be able to jump in there. So obviously, if you've got a maximum of 12 friends all on a server together, then you'll need 3 vehicles to go out. But that's easy enough to do.
That's cool. Oh jeez, I can't even. The chat's moving so fast, I can't even grab another.
Guys.
We need lodges, is what they're saying. But I mean, I hope you guys know that, with our track record here at the company, this is going to go out, and basically all we're going to be doing is listening to you guys. Rushy was talking about before too. Is we want to move with you guys, and I think you were saying that before too about our release plan. is that, like, we're going to be listening to what you guys as players want, and obviously we have some ideas about a release plan in the short term, but long term you guys will be largely steering the needs and wants. I think, did I get that right, Rushy?
Exactly. I mean, that's something that we've really been talking about over the last 6 months or so, is how we're going to try to be as kind of reactive and responsive to you guys as possible. Obviously, as you all know, you can't ask for something and the next day it will suddenly be there. But we definitely will be listening and trying to change the roadmap as we go to make sure that we're tailoring the experience to what you guys want, because we're making this game for you ultimately.
Yeah, that's cool. I see. This is probably like, we can't ever confirm anything that hasn't gone out in the game. That we haven't announced, but like, I see a lot of requests for bow fishing out there, so that's like, there'll be people taking all these notes down, ladies and gentlemen. But like I was saying, is bow fishing is not confirmed on launch, but
no, there's no bow fishing. And I've also seen comments about, will there be dynamite fishing as well? But absolutely not. As kind of mentioned, we operate a very ethical form of fishing with catch and release policy, so definitely not of that at launch. Maybe a systemic reaction once you introduce angling to maybe second extinction, they can blow up some fish. We can sort that out for them.
Perfect. Yeah, I saw that chat disintegrate down to harpoons there. So yeah, we definitely, as mentioned before, trying to keep some high ethical standards there in the game. I think we need to run over a couple. We've answered them earlier on again, Rushy, but can you just run us through the crossplay and release date scenarios again?
Yep. So I'll start with the release date again. Then, so coming later this year to PC, and on PC you'll have a choice of Steam, the Microsoft Store, and Epic Games. Consoles will come afterwards. Again, we can't say exactly when the consoles, how far after the PC launch, but as soon as we can, and we will give you a date. And of course, crossplay will be available across PC day one. And when we introduce consoles, you will be able to play between consoles and PC as well. So the community are always going to be one whole playing together.
Perfect. That sounds good. And then, I'm just going to address it again because it's the elephant in the room. I see a lot of requests for fly fishing. Again, it's not confirmed, but we're listening to you guys, and if it's a strongly requested feature, you never know your luck, basically. So there we go. We haven't talked about exactly what fish species. Everyone's asking about what sort of fish species again out there. But if you head to Steam, there is a few little extra gems hidden on the Steam page. And while you're there, make sure you hit that button. So yeah. All right. One question that's on the list that we didn't ask, and I think it needs to, is will there be a big mouth Billy Basson game, Rushy?
See, you joke. But I think there was a serious discussion at one point in development about how do we get that in game. Because it's been a fun project, this, and we have come up with lots of silly ideas like that. And maybe if enough people want it, it could be something. But I will say though, is because I think our team have worked together fantastically well and had a lot of fun making the project. We have put a few Easter eggs in the reserve for you to find. So not a big mouth Billy Bass, but a few other things maybe.
Yeah, that's cool. I just see another common one is a price point. We haven't decided on that yet, ladies and gentlemen. As soon as we know, we'll be sure to get it out to you guys. 100%. That's one of those questions where me as a community manager, I want to know as well, so I can answer that question before it starts burning into my eyeballs. So there we go. And where was the other one? I mean, this is the first map as well, guys. So I see the saltwater questions too. You never know, right? I mean, I think we haven't limited ourselves. We've created a fishing game. It's called The Angler. You never know what the future holds for it, really.
Yeah.
So
we haven't said no to anything yet.
Yeah.
Obviously, if our first reserve is freshwater fishing, but again, if that's what everybody wants, and if it's good for the game, then obviously we'll consider it and we'll talk with you guys and try and see what we can do in the future.
Yeah. Another one that seems to pop up quite a bit is, has there been any chat within the team about a competition system, or is that something else that maybe down in the future, or could be on the cards?
Yeah, our focus for day one was definitely creating that co-op experience where you can kind of go on fishing adventures together. But we definitely recognize that people will want competitive experiences. So it's definitely something we've been discussing and trying to work out what's the best way to allow you guys to compete with one another. But for day one, the focus is on exploring the world together and having that social experience.
Yeah, beautiful. Alrighty-o. So, is there any, like, now that I just see a lot more kind of individual questions stuff, so, like, let me know. We got a couple more minutes left before we knock this on the head. Is there anything else? I see actually rare fish popping up a lot, Rushy. Is that something that maybe one day, like Call of the Wild has albinos and stuff like that, is something you might consider?
That is something we are talking about. It is something I know a lot of anglers, really want to catch that legendary fish or something along those lines in the waters that you may have heard rumors or stories about. That's not something that's in the game for launch, but it's a cool idea, and it's something that obviously I think it would be a great addition if we can.
Yeah, awesome. That is cool. Right, I just give it a little bit more time, but I think there's I'm just gonna address this. It's not really a true rack system for fish, but there is like they do change in sizes, right? So you're gonna get fluctuation in the sizes of fish within that species. So
Exactly that. Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah. So you obviously every individual fish that you caught within a given species will have a realistic range of lengths and weights and things. So and they will vary with each catch, of course, and that will have obviously an influence on the actual fishing experience itself, of course. Relative to the tackle that you're using.
yeah, awesome. Ice fishing seems to be another one that's popping up. Again, I think that just goes with everything else we said. Saltwater fishing, fly fishing. I saw an Amazonian river map too. It's like, oh, these are all possibilities. Okay, we haven't said any limits to this game. We haven't said no to anything. Let's see where the community want it taken, I guess.
I think that's the best word. Possibilities. There
Yeah,
are so many possibilities. I mean, coming back to the question that you asked earlier about our commitment to the game, and how long we're going to be adding new content and new features, then the possibilities are, and that's a cheesy phrase, but the possibilities are endless. So I think hopefully we'll see all, or most, or lots of these ideas and things come to the game over time.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Alrighty, well, Rashi, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure that's been super helpful to all the aficionados out there.
Ah,
Got one in there.
oh, I got what I was waiting for the first one.
But yeah, thank you very much for everyone watching, and yeah, Rashi, thank you so much for joining. This is I'm sure the first of many streams together, and I'm really looking forward to where the future goes for this game. So yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this today.
No worries. Rightio, everyone. Be good to each other. Catch you later. Bye.
Bye all.